Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I wanted to sit down and share something a little bit different with you. We've all heard ghost stories and urban legends, but there is something fundamentally different about a story when you know it actually happened to someone. Today, we are exploring 4 unsettling true stories that remind us that the world is a lot stranger and sometimes scarier than we like to admit. I've spent the last week researching these, and honestly, they've stayed with me. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's dive into these mysteries together. It's going to be quite the journey, and I'm glad you're here to experience it with me. Make sure your doors are locked, just for peace of mind, and let's get started with our first account.
Our first story takes us to the deep woods of the Pacific Northwest, a place known for its beauty, but also its isolation. In 2014, a solo hiker named David was exploring a trail he had hiked a dozen times before. He was experienced, prepared, and not easily spooked. However, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, he noticed something strange. About 50 yards ahead, a figure was standing perfectly still in the middle of the path. It wasn't moving, wasn't waving, just standing. David called out a friendly hello, thinking it was just another hiker, but there was no response. As he got closer, the figure didn't turn around. It just stood there, facing away from him, wearing a heavy winter coat despite the summer heat. David felt a cold chill run down his spine that had nothing to do with the evening air.
David decided to step off the trail and give the stranger a wide berth. He kept his eyes on the figure the entire time, but the person never even flinched. Once David was about 20 yards past him, he turned back to take one last look. The figure was gone. There were no crashing sounds of someone running through the brush, no footsteps, just silence. David didn't wait around to investigate. He picked up his pace, nearly running back to his truck. When he finally got home and checked his GPS logs, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. The GPS showed that he had stopped moving for nearly 10 minutes during that encounter, even though to David it felt like it had only been seconds. To this day, David refuses to go back to that trail, and the mystery of the summer coat hiker remains a local legend in that small town. Moving on to our second story, we look at an incident from a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio. A young couple, Sarah and Mark, had just moved into their dream home. It was an older, Victorian-style house with lots of character, and as they soon discovered, a few secrets. About 3 months in, Sarah began hearing a rhythmic tapping coming from inside the walls of the master bedroom. Mark dismissed it as old pipes or a loose branch, but Sarah knew it sounded too deliberate. One night, while Mark was away on a business trip, the tapping turned into a slow, rhythmic scratching. It sounded like someone was trying to find a way out of the wall right behind their headboard. Sarah, terrified, called the police, thinking someone might be breaking in through the siding. The police arrived and did a full sweep of the house. They found nothing outside and no signs of forced entry. However, one officer noticed a small hidden latch behind a bookshelf in the hallway. When they opened it, they found a crawl space that wasn't on any of the original blueprints. Inside, they found a small mattress, several empty food wrappers, and a collection of Polaroid photos. The photos were all of Sarah and Mark, taken from inside the house while they were sleeping or eating dinner. Someone had been living in their walls for weeks, watching them through tiny gaps in the vents. The person was never caught, but the crawl space revealed that they had left only minutes before the police arrived. The couple sold the house a week later, never spending another night under that roof.
Our third story involves a mystery of technology and the unknown. In 2018, a man named Leo started receiving strange voicemail messages on his phone. The messages were nothing but static at first, but then a voice began to emerge. It sounded like a woman, crying and whispering a specific set of coordinates. Leo, thinking it was a prank or a wrong number, ignored it, but the calls kept coming, every night at exactly 3:33 a.m. Eventually, his curiosity got the better of him. He looked up the coordinates and realized they pointed to a remote spot in a nearby state park. Against his better judgment, Leo decided to drive out there during the day to see if he could find anything. He told himself it was probably just a geocaching game or a weird social experiment, but the reality was far more unsettling.
When Leo reached the coordinates, he found an old, rusted metal box buried under a pile of stones. Inside the box was a tape recorder and a single locket. He played the tape, and his heart dropped. It was the exact same recording he had been receiving as voicemails, the same woman, the same crying. But as the tape continued, the voice changed. It started saying Leo's name. It thanked him for coming. Leo looked at the locket, and inside was a photo of himself as a child, a photo he had never seen before. He fled the scene and went straight to the police. They investigated, but found no records of the box or how someone could have sent those voicemails from a non-existent number. Leo changed his number, but to this day, he still feels like he's being watched every time his phone rings.
The final story is perhaps the most personal and frightening. It concerns a woman named Elena who worked late shifts at a local hospital. One rainy Tuesday, she was driving home on a back road to avoid traffic. She saw a car on the side of the road with its hazard lights on. Being a nurse, her instinct was to stop and help. She pulled over and walked toward the vehicle. As she approached, she noticed that the car was empty, but the engine was still running. Suddenly, her own car, which she had left running, sped off down the road, leaving her stranded in the dark. She stood there in the rain, confused and terrified, when she heard a voice coming from the back seat of the stalled car. It was a man's voice, and he said, "Thank you for the trade, Elena."
Elena froze as a tall man stepped out from the shadows of the nearby trees. He wasn't aggressive. He just stood there with a calm, terrifying smile. He told her that he had been following her for months, waiting for the perfect moment to take her life. Not her physical life, but her identity. He had her car, her keys, and her wallet. He told her she was now dead to the world, and he was the one who would decide what happened next. Before she could react, he vanished into the woods. Elena eventually made it to a farmhouse and called for help, but when the police found her car abandoned miles away, all her identification was gone. She spent years looking over her shoulder, knowing that somewhere out there, a man was using her name and her life for reasons she couldn't comprehend. Stories like these remind us that the world isn't always as safe as we perceive it to be. Whether it's a strange figure on a trail or someone hiding in the walls of a home, these events are documented and real. They leave us with more questions than answers. Why was that man in the woods? Who was living in the Victorian house? How did that tape recorder know Leo? These are the mysteries that keep us up at night, questioning the shadows in the corner of our rooms. I think the reason we are so drawn to these stories is that they reflect our deepest fears, the fear of the unknown and the fear of being watched. It's a primal reaction that we all share, no matter where we are from or what we believe. I want to thank you for sticking with me through these 4 unsettling accounts. It's always a bit intense to look into the darker side of reality, but I think it's important to share these experiences. If you have ever had something happen to you that you just can't explain, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. We have a great community here, and I always enjoy reading your thoughts and theories. Do you think David saw a ghost or something else? Was the man in Elena's story part of something larger? Let's discuss it down there. I'll be hanging out in the comments for a while to talk with you all. It's always fascinating to see how everyone interprets these strange occurrences. Before you head off, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. We have a lot of exciting and mysterious content planned for the coming weeks, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Your support really helps the channel grow and allows me to keep finding these incredible stories to share with you. Hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when a new video drops. Stay safe out there, keep your eyes open, and remember, sometimes the truth is much stranger than fiction. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Good night, everyone, and take care of yourselves.